The 2017 Niagara County Peach Festival recently celebrated its 60th year at Academy Park in Lewiston, New York. For longtime advisory chairman Jerry Wolfgang, this year's festival was one for the record books.
This was probably the most successful year in 60 years of holding the annual Niagara County Peach Festival. We had large crowds, great weather, and wonderful participation.
The festival began this year with a ride preview night on Thursday, September 7th, and then officially opened on Friday the 8th with a youth cheerleading competition. On Saturday morning, the 39th running of the Peach Festival 5K run took place on Center Street with WGRZ sports reporter Heather Pruzak acting as both official starter and a race participant. Next came Jerry Wolfgang's favorite part of the weekend festivities.
Parade, and I'm biased because I've chaired it for 35 years. This year we had one of the largest parades, 116 units, with probably, I'm going to estimate, and I'm not good on doing that, 15,000 people on Center Street watching the parade for 2 hours.
Saturday afternoon featured both the Peach Taste-Off and Peach Shortcake eating contest.
Ready, get set, go!
Real good day, it's popular, we're going to be sell out probably sometime.
Very, very difficult, not to eat.
Cake comes up tomorrow, anything. You're not required to be here.
You gotta get into the beaches.
For the tickets tomorrow night on the main stage right around between 8 and 30.
Beaches and put it on jeans,
Broderick's down to the nitty-gritty here.
Patty Gallagher, would you please?
Okay, we're in the finals. One more beach.
Your husband says you're lost.
One more beach. Dean goes there.
You're supposed to go slow on that.
Oh!
Oh, it can be slow too.
Oh, look at that. How about a nice round of applause for Mr. Broderick? Wow!
This is why you have for forks. Did they just fall off the spoon?
That's right.
Did you fall off the spoon, Dean?
No, I could have won, but I had half the canvas of skill.
Oh my God, Candace, you have a reputation.
It's women power. What can I say?
It's what?
It's women's power. What can I say?
Okay. So winner, what are we going to do now? That's the second year you came back.
Well, I saw this gentleman over here in the Notre Dame outfit and says, play like a champion today, so it motivated me to eat my peaches.
All right, that's very, very good. Very good. Now, of course, the winner gets a free shortcake. You know that.
Oh, all right. Ooh, I hope smaller than that one.
As Jerry said, my name is Mark Strider. I'm the division chair at the Niagara County Institute for Niagara Community College. And again, this year the college is really proud to be sponsoring the Recipe Taste-Off. It's a great way to showcase our local product, the peaches, and the local community getting involved. But with me judging today is Professor Scott Beard. He is the food and beverage manager and director at Niagara.
Program book here.
Along with Saber Restaurant Manager and
Let you know what the rest of the week, the activities are all about.
didn't take too long for you. Some really great things. Scores are really close, but some great desserts. Before we announce the winners, I just want to thank all the contestants for entering, taking the time to do that, so thank you so much. For each of you for participating today, we have a little gift bag that Professor Dan and Mr. Wolfgang put around your recipe, so please make sure you grab that on the way out. And for each of the contestants, the category winners, we have some wonderful gifts. For the food enthusiast, the winner gets a $100 gift card to Tops Market and 2 jackboat tickets, so that's really nice. And for the youth, we have $75 gift card and also 2 jackboat tickets. So 2 nice gifts. So thank you to Tops and Jackboat for donating and helping us out. So without further ado, I think everyone's probably really wants to know who won. For the food enthusiasts, again, very close. The winner is the Peach Colada Crumble. Congratulations, Tina. So Jean gets the $100 gift card.
Thank you.
Really well done. It was great.
Thank you. Thank you.
So the winner of the youth, it was great to see children youth this year. It's really nice to see. Professor Bean said she got 8-year-olds already in the kitchen baking, so that's wonderful. But the winner in the youth, $75 and 2 jackboat tickets. Cast iron skillet, Kiara. Congratulations. Good job. Good job.
Thank you so much.
So that does conclude the rest of the contest tasting here and judging. So everyone enjoy the rest of the night and a wonderful weekend here at the Peach Festival.
The highlight of the weekend for many is the Peach Queen pageant, with WGRZ TV anchor and North Tonawanda native Mary Alice Demler serving as the program hostess.
So tell me about the Peach Buzz competition. What did they have you do?
I don't remember.
Was it that long ago? Was it today? Just this afternoon? Did you come up on stage?
Yes, I did nothing else. I just walked on stage and went back.
Did you maybe smile and wave to the audience?
Yes, I did. That's all I did.
Let's have our 2 final ladies take a few steps forward. Should there be any reason that our next Peach Queen cannot fulfill her duties, the first runner-up would take her place. So I will name the first runner-up first, and then our new Peach Queen. Our first runner-up for the title of Niagara County Peach Queen is contestant number 7, Santana Salma. Our new Niagara County Peach Queen is contestant number 11, Jamie Haggerty.
Whether it's the Peach Shortcake, the rides, or the many competitions, the Niagara County Peach Festival once again proved to be the area's #1 family-friendly attraction and another huge success.
Hi, I'm Cindy Abbott-Litro for Behind the Camera, and today I'm with John Percy, who is the president and CEO of Destination Niagara USA.
You got it right. You did good.
Right.
You did good.
Well,
yeah.
you did go through a name change, so
That's right. We did.
It's a little bit different.
Right.
But one of the reasons we wanted to do this, John, is the Film Commission really, wouldn't exist if it didn't have this collaboration of funders, and Destination Niagara is certainly one of them, as well as Erie County and the City of Buffalo. What does the Film Commission, though, represent for you? Some of the things that help you in what you do, because you're really a marketing organization.
Yeah, it's a destination marketing organization. So we market, Niagara County to the world to bring inbound visitation. And Tim Clark and you at the helm on the board, and just having that organization, the Film Commission, representing us around the world and bringing films. Here we are on a set today. I'm sure we're going to talk about that. But to have them representing us, bringing in the film crews, small to large, from little to big, all kinds of film crews, whether it's television or, movies. There's an immediate impact from the crews that are here, the large crews that come in and stay a multitude of nights in our lodging properties. They eat here. They purchase food and beverage for the crews, just the shopping they do, the immediate impact is excellent. And then the real impact comes later, when the film is released and it's been filmed here in Niagara Falls or Buffalo or somewhere in the region, is beneficial, because we could not pay for that kind of coverage.
Well, I was talking to Rich Wall from the commission before we started taping, and I said to him, how many are here? Because sometimes it's, like here, we have you and me.
Right.
But there are, this shooting, this is Wolf Boy, this set of Wolf Boy that, is at a crazy carnival that they've set up behind the Summit.
They think you and I are at Erie County Fair here or something, right?
We're behind the Summit Park Mall.
And this is a large movie scene. And again, the amount of money that's being spent in Niagara County right now, I'm most appreciative of.
And one of the things that seems to be a common theme, and it's not like, patting our backs, but there is this sort of sense of hospitality, and it's sometimes the things that are the least obvious become the answer to what the film companies want.
Right, I agree. And I think, Tim and Rich, have scouted and found the most unique. And we were texting or emailing back the other day and just asking for a replacement of something. And he was looking for suggestions, and we were throwing out suggestions. And I wasn't even throwing out suggestions for Niagara County. I just remembered some places, because they lost another location in Erie County. Because again, it benefits this entire region, and is a great return on investment, because we don't spend a lot. I mean, we'd love to give more, and we hopefully will someday in the future, but there's not a huge amount invested in it. And Tim and Rich could use a ton more, because that would garner more for us. But the return is so much, is huge compared to what is invested.
And I think also that what we hear is that we try to solve the problems. We don't just sign them up and say, okay, here's your lot, and if there's a problem, leave them on their own.
No.
That there seems to be a way in which if we can help them, we can. I was just thinking, though, you talked about small and large television movie when Melissa McCarthy shot at the Falls.
Wonderful. I just saw the movie again the other night. I was watching Tammy, and I love it because I was towards the end of the movie on television, and I was just flipping channels and got to see the ending segment again. And Rich and Tim invited me on set that day, and we had a private party for Melissa and her entire crew the night before. But that coverage of her standing on the observation deck and being down at the Cave of the Winds and all that, even if it was just 5-10 minutes, again, we could not pay for that coverage because, she uses the words, isn't this wonderful? We're in Niagara Falls. This is a star. And then while they're here, we talked about this in the office, when they're tweeting, if the stars that have been here, we had Kate Hudson here doing something in the region, and she was tweeting from the Maid of the Mist, that's ideal,
Right.
to have that kind of social media reach from Kate Hudson or any star, Melissa McCarthy, is just ideal for us, and we love that. And that's just even much more reach than we had planned on just from the movie set and the economic benefits.
Have you seen a big change in the way, for instance, your board or the way people react to filmmaking? Because I remember when we first started this,
Right.
everyone was sort of thinking, it's just sort of this
Right.
glitzy sort of fun thing. They
Yeah.
didn't think of it as an actual economic impact,
Right.
impactor, I don't know
Right.
what the correct word is,
Yeah.
but that something that really creates jobs, and that
Right.
now people are
Right.
seeing that you're bringing people from all over the world in, and they're paying people to do things here in Niagara Falls.
I agree. And the people that get hired locally, it's not just the crews arriving in, but they hire, from outside. I think they are, and we do a sort of a glitzy annual report, and there's a whole page now devoted to the Buffalo Niagara Film Commission. And Rich and Tim have done an excellent job at getting us annual report numbers on the impact from the year prior. So I think now that it's in print and my board is seeing that, and we report on that as part of our investment, and the return that we saw just here in Niagara County, they are noticing that, and it is impactful even in the eyes of my board and the locals. Not only does my annual report go to the board, it goes to the county legislature, it goes to the city councils of Niagara Falls and city of Lockport, and some films have been done in Lockport. Tim, we've done some what was it? Sharknado was done.
I love that.
And the
in
cave,
fact,
and
in fact, I remember when I was doing we were doing a tour of the caves, where Sharknado took place, and even at that time, Rich and Tim were working because they were getting this thing saying, we need to find a swimming pool, and they even had the mayor of Lockport, working on saying, well, wait a second, I think there's an indoor swimming pool here, or there's an indoor swimming pool there. So I think what's interesting is the region is big.
It is big,
but it's small in the sense that, people operate that small town way of sort of trying to help one another find.
And Mayor McCaffrey did. I mean, stepping up to the plate, and she was present and got to witness it and realize that even in their small hamlet, if you will, of the city of Lockport, that was impacted, and now there's this cult following of Sharknadoes or Sharknado people, and they want to see the sights. It's odd, but that is what happens, and so that's great.
In fact, John, there have actually been 4 Sharknadoes, and the last one was in Niagara Falls.
And you are correct, and I forgot to even mention that because it's the climatic scene. Culminates in Niagara Falls. So, not only did it happen in Sharknado 2 in Lockport, but Sharknado 4. I mean, so you can tell I'm not a groupie, but, happy that it was filmed here. And
wait till the 8th and the 9th and the 10th.
Yeah, 8th and 9th, we'll be all over it. Tim, years ago, did The Office, and when that was filmed in Niagara Falls, and the scene in the red coach, and people hear about that, and they still, almost want to touch the seat where they, sat in the red coach. It's odd, but there are those groupies and love it. And again, that is impactful to us because I can't afford that network coverage of The Office when it was filmed and also when it's aired on the network and repeated. That's great coverage for this destination. It's wonderful.
Well, and of course for us it's great because we are lucky in New York State that we do have the film tax credits, and that's part of the reason we like to do these interviews, because that is one of the big attractions for film companies that come here and look. Certainly they need to find the location, and they have to find skilled workers to do it.
Right.
But
look at the cause and effect of that. Even since the tax film or the tax credit on films and filming here in New York State, that we can show how much more we've garnered as a result of that tax credit. So
it's a great return on investment. Well, I can't thank you enough for your support for all the years in supporting the film company, and we hope that we have many more years to work together and more successful years. But we were on the set of Wolf Boy, and I'm not sure what's going to happen to it, but it's kind of fun on a beautiful typical day in Western New York to sit here and talk about filmmaking.
It's great.
So we will see you next on Behind the Camera. I'm Cindy Abbott-Litro.
And now let's take you back to 1968 for the making of the radio classic WKBW's War of the Worlds.
KB, Total News, Bulletin. It's been reported that a large meteor has smashed into the ground along the East River Road on Grand Island, setting off a series of fires. Several lives have been lost. KB Total News Director Don Lancer on the way to the scene.
It was that announcement at approximately 11:15 p.m. on Halloween night in 1968 that told listeners WKBW's War of the Worlds program had officially begun. The homage to Orson Welles' 1938 classic was the brainchild of KB program director Jeff Kay.
I changed the locality from a small town in southern New Jersey to Grand Island, New York, and to have some impact on the local area. And then we decided that I would write the script in such a way that the newsmen would be told, here's where you start, this is where you enter the scene, this is what we want to have happen during the time that you're on the air, and this is where I want you to end.
My God, Don, there's something crawling out of the top of this thing. It's way down by something, I can't say what it is. This thing is rising up, I've got to get out of here. I can see it now, I can see it too. Oh my God. This is 393, Jim. Just what is going on out there?
It was being broadcast as a news coverage of a real event, a fictional event, of course, but being broadcast as if it were real. So that using real newsmen was quite appropriate.
In the days prior to the show, we mailed 3 separate letters in the 8 surrounding counties to fire and civil defense, police and sheriff's departments, hospitals, newspapers, radio, television stations. And the day of the broadcast, J. Don Schlott, who was the writer for the Buffalo Evening News, gave us his entire radio television column and said specifically what it was we were going to do.
We felt that we had alerted the community to the point that they would understand what it was all about.
KB's extensive promotional campaign did not prepare the masses for what Jeff Kay and Dan Kriegler unleashed over their 50,000-watt signal.
We had people literally come to the control room door in tears, beating on the door in panic over the thing was real. The credibility of people who only half hear something is astounding.
The broadcast indeed affected listeners in a manner few could have foreseen. Like the Orson Welles version some 30 years prior, people ignored the disclaimers and commercials and accepted in their hearts what their minds said could not be true. The Buffalo Police and Telephone Company reported over 4,000 calls were taken the night of the broadcast. Canadian military authorities actually dispatched troops to the Peace Bridge, Rainbow, and Queenston bridges to repel the Martian invaders. One local small-town police agency began to break out the weapons until they themselves heard a disclaimer. A local county civil defense agency went on alert, and the UPI actually printed wire stories during the broadcast up and down the eastern seaboard, reporting on the so-called Martian invasion in Buffalo.
The reaction was so astounding in its intensity while we were on the air that Jeff felt that he had to get in live on the air and get a disclaimer. We argued somewhat heatedly over it, and he finally won.
I went to the tape rack where the big tape was on the wall, and it was turning and was broadcasting out. And Kriegler was over to my other side of the room. And I said to him, Daddy, if you don't let me go on the air, I'm going to rip this tape right out of this machine and run like hell onto Main Street with it, and we'll never finish it. And he said, okay, you can go on the air.
The program's dramatic final 10 minutes had Channel 7's legendary anchorman Irv Weinstein atop City Hall, looking at the wrong end of a Martian death ray.
Yeah, that was it for me. I was in mid-sentence when I was suddenly cut off shortly after I asked Jeff Kay to call my wife. I don't know, told her I wouldn't be home for dinner, that things were okay.
I'm not sure whether Irv ad-libbed his death or whether I had written it in the script. Not certain, but it was a telling moment.
Jeff, it's extremely difficult to describe this thing. It's like nothing I've ever seen. You better get out of there as quickly as you can. That's all right. I'll be all right. I just want to say, Jeff, it's turning my way.
I've done a lot of theater and I've done a lot of acting in my time, and that does stand out as a very special kind of moment. It was fun, and it was even a little scary because we did really get into character.
Near the end, when Irv and Jeff had to take it down and end the show, I thought that was a very well-played, very dramatic finish to what had been a very exciting time on the air that night.
Well, after I died, I went back to my office and I sat there and reflected for a moment, and I said, I'm literally dead in this market. I'll never work in Buffalo again. I typed out a resignation, put it into an envelope, slipped it under the studio door, or under the general manager's door.
We got a number of complaints, to be perfectly honest, from police agencies and some private individuals saying that we had scared the hell out of people. And but of course we had proof on the show that we made several announcements that this is just a radio show and don't be frightened, just continue to sit in your Morris chair and enjoy the show.
And as it turned out, I wasn't fired. But it was a remarkable night, and it certainly is a Halloween that I'll never, ever, ever forget.
It was never intended to be scary, really. It was merely intended to be appropriate to the season. The effect that it had, the genuine fear that it aroused in an astonishing number of people was unanticipated. It really was, and quite surprising. But it's probably true that more by accident than design, it was, well, we'll say, one of the liveliest Halloweens in living memory.
Lights are all going out.